Hey guys, Attorney Walter Knott. We are now going live again for the second video of the night. We're doing these live videos as opposed to traditional uploaded videos because unfortunately I'm unable to get the traditional uploaded videos onto the internet with the limited internet I have. For some reason, it can do these lives just fine. In this video, we examine something that's really incredibly important. A lot of channels are pushing this whole 5.9% increase as absolutely incredible, absolutely amazing. And that's great. That's fine, whatever. But the reality is that 5.9% increase to SSI benefits, SSDI benefits, is not enough. Let's go ahead and look at something that looks at the consumer price index. Now, I'm going to look up real quick and give you the quick definition of what the consumer price index is. That way you know how it's relevant to the cost of living adjustment. Okay. So let's look it up real quick. Consumer price index. I know we're all tired, but we're going to get through this video real quick. Okay. What is the consumer price index? Well, it's a mathematical, review. It uses essentially the consumer price index in the current period, the cost of market basket in current period, and a cost of market basket in base period. So if we define what is the consumer price index beyond just the mathematical, yada yada, it is a measure of the average change over time in the prices paid by urban consumers for a market basket of consumer goods and services. Indexes are available for the US and various geographic areas. Average price data for select utility, automotive fuel, and food items are also available. So, okay, what is COLA? COLA is the expectation of how much more it costs to live in America per year. That's why they increase the benefits by that, because that keeps the benefits going up as the cost of things go up. What is the consumer price index? Howdy, guys. Good to see you again. The consumer price index is essentially a thing that looks at the costs of certain items: food, gasoline, things you might need for, heating in your house. And what we're seeing is, and this is what I'm worried about, I'm just going to go right to the summary conclusion. The disabled people who are renting a place where they have to pay for their power bill, where they have to pay for their heating bill, where they have to pay for, food that's tough to get a hold of, that's a little bit more pricey, people living in the city. Those disabled people are not going to be able to afford those things because the consumer price index is going significantly higher than 5.9%. In fact, normally when you see articles about the consumer price index, they talk about items in an annual cycle, like items essentially in a cycle of, how much that thing rose over essentially a year. Okay, makes sense. Cool, awesome, we got that. Not anymore. The prices of things that are growing up and up and up, the prices of things are drastically changing every single month. And so what they're reporting on is, okay, well, this month they're this, but the next month they're going to be 1.2% higher. And then next month they're going to be 2% higher. So the problem we're dealing with is that inflation, the cost of items, the devaluation of the dollar is skyrocketing. It's out of control. It's Jimmy Carter stuff. That's how bad it is. Let's talk about this real quick. And what I'm getting at here is something that's probably a little bit more accurate, like the consumer price index, as to what things are actually doing. And I know COLA looks into a bit of that, but the COLA numbers that they came out with are not accurate. It's not going to be accurate going forward because we're seeing this amazing, massive increase of things that we used to buy. Go to Walmart, try it out. You're going to notice everything is significantly more expensive. All right, so let me go through this real quick so that you understand. I'm going to read an article here. Inflation rate forecast is from Kiplinger. It's a website. Let's go ahead and go through this. This is by David Payne, created on October 14th, 2021. Let's take a look at what they had to say about what's going on. All right. A hot housing market, component shortages, and supply chain disruptions are some of the reasons inflation is likely to stay elevated. Well, there's that and COVID. Rents rose on robust 0.5%. That's a lot. Which may be related to the end of eviction moratoriums, very likely, It is expected that the strong rise in housing prices will eventually cause rents to rise more than usual, meaning that people, especially the disabled, won't be able to afford the rent. Okay, prices of new cars. Let me tell you about new cars. My cars and trucks all have the check engine light on because I don't make as much as the other attorneys out there. And as a result of that, I was looking at putting down a down payment of some funds for what's called a business car. Gives me a lot of tax write-offs for the law firm. I can't find a cheap, like, Prius-y kind of car because used cars across the board have usually gone up 46% of where they're supposed to be for their year, make, and model. 40 friggin' 6% increase. Now that's due to the new cars not being able to get all the chips that we need from China because, as you know, America is reliant on China. That's the Kool-Aid that it sips. And as a result of that, new cars, when you call to speak with the Toyota dealership or this place or that place, they tell you, here's the deal. This is the price. We will not go below it. You let us know what you want, and we'll try to get one in. Prices of new cars, trucks, appliances, and computers continued their upward march because of the shortage of needed semiconductors. We use semiconductors in everything that is electrical. Okay. How we do not mass produce these in the USA is, one of the most important violations of our ability to exist as a country as what's probably now the number 2 world power, right? This shortage will likely last well into 2022. Rising wages for workers amid a labor shortage are likely behind the steady increase in restaurant menu prices. So what they're saying there is, just to make it clear, that even though they're paying people more because they can't find people, right? Okay. It still costs more to eat at a restaurant than the increases of what they're paying people. Shipping capacity constraints will also find their way into price increases as businesses pass on cost increases to consumers. Why are ships sitting outside of the ports of California? Just come to Florida. Go to Texas. Just go to any of these states that actually work. Just any of them, right? People are going to be very unhappy when Christmas, Hanukkah, all of their holidays coming up are not going to have the available. Look, we are at a tickle me Elmo situation. I could say blinking red light, but that's really where we're at. We're at tickle me Elmo of a situation of a holiday gathering coming up. Higher inflation could get the Federal Reserve to start raising short-term interest rates in late 2022 instead of waiting on to 2023 as originally planned. It's that bad. Fed Chair Jerome Powell has indicated a commitment to keeping the short-term interest rates near zero in order to push down the unemployment rate, as analysts tell him that the higher inflation is temporary. But the possibility that not all of the high inflation this year is temporary may mean the Fed will have to act sooner than it wants to. A complicating factor is whether President Biden reappoints Powell as Fed Chair. Powell's 4-year term is up in February. Now look. We all know if President Biden wanted him gone, he would be gone already because President Biden has already fired everybody else that was put in from the prior administration. An appointee preferred by the more progressive wing of the Democratic Party would likely mean that rate increases would be delayed longer, perhaps allowing higher inflation to take stronger root. All right, that's the end of this article. I want you to understand this. Oh, wait, there's another part here. Food prices surged 0.9% on the strength of meat, fish, and egg prices. Energy prices rose 1.3% and will continue to rise in October. Remember, we're talking about monthly increases, not annual increases, monthly increases. Monthly increases. If you take one of these over a year and you just multiply it by 12, right? Let's say instead of 1.3, because I'm tired, it's 1% increase. Then you are at energy price rose 1.3%. Then you're at essentially a 12% increase for energy costs. Explain to me how that 5.9 works again for that COLA. Explain to me how that's going to cover your heating expenses as a disabled person who can't work and is on limited income? Just walk me through that again. Just lay it simple now. All right. The current 12-month inflation rate is 5.4%, which I don't know how they came up with that. That seems erroneous beyond imagination. Expected to rise to 6.1% by the end of the year. This will be the highest rate of inflation since 1990. Expect inflation in 2022 to ease to 3% as shortages fade. I doubt it. I doubt it. There will be some new COVID, strain coming out. There'll be some new problem. We're just living on this, one of these deals. But that will still be higher than the 2% yearly average from 2016 to 2019. Well, we all know why that is, prior to the pandemic. Stronger inflation, and you had a pro-capitalist president. Stronger inflation is likely to stay with us for a while. All right, so bottom line here. We have a problem. The cost of living adjustment to the disabled people is not going to cover things, which means the whole point of this video is to tell you guys you're going to have pennies, but save them. You are going to have very little money, but save it, because the cost of living is going to drastically increase. It's going to hit people, and it's going to be terrible. And look, here's the thing. The government buys natural resources. Usually, we take them from these ships, and they're either in not raw, but some refined. Then we refine them here, and then we get them to the people. Government buys it super cheap, and then they hand it over to these, electrical facilities, gas facility, utility places, right? And the utility places then charge us what kind of looks like an arm and a leg, but they would tell us otherwise. Well, let me tell you, it's going to be 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, a torso, the whole thing. They're going to go up significantly. And that's because when you have ships sitting out in the water, it becomes very expensive. Remember how everybody talked about toilet paper? Oh, we all love the story of the toilet paper. Remember? Remember the good story? Oh, we all knew, right? Because they told us about the economics of toilet paper when toilet paper was a problem during the COVID pandemic. It was all bought out. And then they had to figure out how they were going to do this whole shipping thing. And then people didn't want it anymore. They had too much. And then they had tons of toilet paper sitting there. Not heavy, but very, a lot of volume. So what was the problem? It was sitting in warehouses. It was sitting in trucks. Then all of a sudden, toilet paper, we had a problem. We had too much of it. Can we reduce the price? Can we reduce the price? The whole thing about toilet paper is that when people buy it like they normally buy it, the shipping makes sense. It takes up a lot of volume. It's not very heavy, but it takes up a lot of volume. Same thing with fuels. It's heavy, and it takes up a lot of space. And if you just let it sit on ships, you got a problem because people aren't consuming it. And people aren't consuming it, and guess what happens to the price? People can't get it. Price here goes up. Because like a sawmill, they only have so much wood that they can turn into usable boards, right? Your 2x4s, your 2x8s, whatever. So the whole point of this video is to basically go ahead and say, please save whatever pennies you have, because it is going to be extremely expensive throughout the 2022 season. The thing of most concern would be the cost of heating expenses. It's probably going to be a cold winter. You don't really have the option to not heat your home. I know some of you will end up possibly sitting there with a jacket on, sweatpants on, all that jazz. I want the disabled to know ahead of time. And this is me advocating. I know other channels advocate by selling a bunch of sugary bull, but this is me advocating. Please understand, it's going to cost more this year to do what you normally do. And that little bump in increase is not going to cover it. Save the pennies. I'll catch you guys a little bit later. Yes, another toilet paper corner. Yes, everybody know. And let me tell you something. I'm going to give you a secret of toilet paper. You guys, when I was younger, I actually wanted to own a toilet paper factory, but that's another story. I'm not going to tell you that whole thing. I'm going to tell you a secret about toilet paper. You will be shocked. You will be, oh, wow. If you have a house that cannot accept regular toilet paper, like it has to use, the toilet paper that dissolves, rapidly, whatever. You don't buy the crap toilet paper that's with all the other toilet paper that's septic safe. You don't buy that. That's the junk. That's terrible stuff. You go buy the RV toilet paper that is rapid dissolve, safe for septics. That stuff is like, amazing. That's the high end stuff for septic tanks, but nobody knows it. You go to Walmart, just go to the RV section. It's right there. I mean, you can buy it all out and then I won't be able to get it, but that's okay. Go check that out. All right, guys, I will catch you later. Have a wonderful night and thank you so much. Bye-bye.